Hello, this is Kurt Wallner. I'm speaking to you from rainy California, and I've finished my pencil of the East Wing, and now we have to figure out how to get to the colored version. It's a wonderful grab bag of colors, the red and gold of the movie theater, the dark wood paneling in the visitor's lobby, the pink in Michelle Obama's office. All going to come together and make a really interesting composition, I think. And so let's get to it. Those of you who have seen these videos before know that we get a pen and we start in tracing the pencil. Tracing the pencil is kind of a interesting combination of things. I have to peer through the render paper down to the pencil and try and remember what it is exactly that's supposed to go on here. I try not to make any mistakes. It's easy to make mistakes, but I try not to. There we go. Done with the inking. It kind of looks like that. And now we're going to introduce you to the next phase of things, which in this drawing there are two areas of reflectivity. The windows that run along the east colonnade and the floor of the garden room. I'm going to show you all how I handle reflections. Now, when it comes to windows, when there is more light outside of the building, on this side of the window, than there is on the other side of the window will appear dark. As long as there's more light inside than there is outside, there's no reflection in the glass. But once that changes, and there's more light outside than there is inside, you'll be able to see things that are reflected in the glass. Things that are illuminated because they're outside and in the light. The problem is that in the fantasy light world of cross-section drawings, there's no roof to the building, and so there is no darker on one side or the other. It's just a sheet of glass sticking up into space in the daytime. So what do you do about that? I have decided that I'm going to reflect what's outside the window more than show what you can see through the glass. There have to be both for it to look transparent, but I'm going to have more of the garden side in this particular thing. So the way that we do that is try and figure out what is reflected in the glass. And in this case, it's a very complicated set of flowers. I don't know what kind of flowers those are. Look like they're tulips, maybe. And you draw all of that reflected in the window. So you pretend that the window is one great big piece of glass or a mirror, and then you draw what's in that mirror. So then we ink that drawing of the reflection, and slip it underneath the render paper so that we can see through and see where the reflected images should be, and then color it in. I usually use a lighter shade of color on this thing because, well, it's not a mirror. but it looks like a mirror when you get done. To make it look like a window, you have to be able to show what's inside also. So you draw a lighter version of all of the things that you would be able to see through the glass had nothing been there. So while the result doesn't altogether look natural, it doesn't look phony either. I mean, the eye can accept that it is what it is. It's a cross-section drawing with all of its artificial light and the imponderables therein. So on to the garden room with its polished brick floor. So we get our Google Maps pictures of the garden room, and you can see that it has a big beige carpet all over it. And that doesn't work for me because it doesn't give that wow factor that a reflective surface will give. So we have to count up all of the bricks. And this way I know more or less how many bricks that I need to put into the space. And if there's too many bricks, I'm going to have to approximate. So now that I've done the count, there's 90 bricks across the width of the room, and I can tell that that's going to be too many, primarily because the relationship between the space and the column, I didn't get it absolutely correctly. So to divide that into 90 spaces, the column would have to follow exactly right, and that's not likely to happen at this juncture. What I'm going to do is approximate the bricks, and I think that will give the general impression. Doing the floor of the garden room is perhaps the most difficult part of the drawing, technically, mostly because I don't know really what I'm doing. When you're looking at a white column on a polished surface, it looks a certain kind of way, but when you are high up looking down at it, the image of the column upside down tends to fade as it gets away from the floor. And it's this idea, it's this effect that I'm trying to replicate. So what happens after that is that I draw the reflected walls and the columns that are reflected in the floor, and then I divide that up into what are called depth cues. And the idea is that the further up or down, depending on how you're looking at it, the column is, the lighter it should be in the reflection. So area number 1 gets a certain color, a lighter color, and then number 2 gets a slightly darker color, and number 3 area gets a slightly darker color, and so on. The problem is what goes in first. If I draw the black lines of all of the bricks in first, then I won't be able, it'll make it difficult to see the template for the depth cueing. And if I put the red in first, the color of red, then inking in the bricks will be sort of like a soggy experience. I think that I have decided that I'm going to put the black bricks in first because it's easier for me to see the template that I'm drawing to. Boy, trying to get that small of a detail in there, it's really tough. But I have discovered that if I wear 2 pairs of glasses, my regular drawing glasses plus my reading bifocals, I can get really in there. And this seems to work a lot better. You can see that the areas are colored in from light to dark based on their depth cueing charts that are underneath. I'm also doing something that is fairly common amongst illustrators, which is to do the main fill-in, or all of the fill-in, vertically from top to bottom. It sort of tends to make things look a little more shiny. Then too, another real cute thing is that all of the bricks in the floor have different tones to them, so they're not all the same color. So one has to go in and laboriously tint various bricks, and this is one of the things that I really am not crazy about because there's no pattern to it. Anything that has a pattern, I can figure it out, but random stuff like this, I have to be just random, and I think it looks all right. So the completed East Wing drawing is pretty nice. I especially like the movie theater, and somehow all the light around the first spouse's office and the windows and all of that kind of stuff, I think it turned out really nicely. In our next chapter, we're going to begin tackling the Oval Office, probably the most famous room in the White House. If you're enjoying these videos, please subscribe to the channel if you would. Thanks for your attention. Until next time, bye-bye.